All right, DJ and PK, it is time to talk college football with Justin Williams, senior college football writer for The Athletic. Justin, good morning.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. Justin, you have some experience with the Bearcats, am I correct?
Yeah, I was on I live here in Cincinnati. I was on the beat for about 5 years during the Luke Fickell years.
So as a senior college football writer, you are now responsible for much more than the Bearcats. But I'm wondering, you're still there. You still know people. You still have some idea what's going on here. Is this a team that is ready to make a stand, and this is the exact wrong time to play them because after 2 losses they're going to turn this thing around? Or is this a beaten up, broken team, and BYU is going to come in here and get it done, and there's no doubt in your mind? And then there's everything in between those two things. Where are you right now as you look at this game?
Yeah, I was going to say this is the cop-out answer, but I think we're going to find out Saturday night, right? Like, that was, a very it's been a great season for Cincinnati overall. If you look at the strides they've made in year 3 under Satterfield, they're going to go to a bowl game. But what a disappointing, disheartening loss that was for them last week at home against Arizona, because just like, BYU, Cincinnati was in position to control its own destiny in the Big 12. And this is still a huge game. Cincinnati technically still has a path to the Big 12 championship game. They can definitely, play spoiler and kind of introduce some chaos if they can get a win on senior night against BYU. But, this could have been a huge matchup against 2 teams with 1 loss. Almost kind of a game that if you win, it seems like you're going to get into the conference championship game in the Big 12. And so in that standpoint, it's a little bit disappointing. 2 losses in a row for Cincinnati. I'm curious to see how they come out early in this game against BYU. Are they going to kind of be that team that is just, raring to go and wants to make up for the past 2 weeks? Or is this kind of that late season slide where, man, they had a lot of momentum and now it's just slipped away? I actually think we're going to find out pretty early in that first quarter on Saturday night.
We saw, particularly if you look at like Pro Football Focus and the grades and all that stuff from the secondary standpoint, that it wasn't very good. And I believe Fafita's a good quarterback, and so he has the capability of to do things. What do you think that the defense, particularly in the throw defense, pass defense, will be able to do against BYU?
Yeah, it's probably the weak point for the whole team this season, Cincinnati. And honestly, it's actually improved from last year. They were even worse last year in the secondary. They went out and added some players in the portal and got some pieces, and they have gotten better against the pass. But it's not this team's strong suit. They have not taken the ball away. Kind of their best part of their defense is up front in that front 7. They have some good linebackers, a couple good defensive linemen. And so when you get against teams that especially have a mobile quarterback like Fafita, but can also kind of push the ball down the field, that's, at times where we've seen them struggle a little bit. And, the biggest thing is this team has really leaned on its offense. And I think Arizona did a good job of not necessarily bottling up Brendan Sorsby, but kind of neutralizing it. And so if the offense can't break out and score 30-plus, it's going to be hard for them to win some games. And that's why I think this is a tough matchup against BYU. Not necessarily because BYU wants to sling it around a lot, but they have a good, efficient offense. Bear Bachmeier is really tough, is a good dual-threat quarterback. And then I just think defensively they've been pretty tough. And if you can't go out there and score 32 to 40 points, as the Bearcats have shown this year, they've made it kind of tough to win games.
Sorsby was brilliant through 5 games. Now in the last 5, he's had 200 yards. One time he did eclipse 200 yards was Oklahoma State, who's terrible. Another time was Utah, where there was a lot of garbage time to pile up some yardage in that game. Is this on the O-line? Is this on him? Is this him being beat up? What has happened? Because clearly the production, or maybe it's just being scouted over the course of the year. There's probably more than one factor. What are they, and how would you rank them?
That last part you said, I do think is interesting in terms of being scouted and also just some of these matchups. This team, Sorsby especially, has really played well against zone coverage, and they've gone against some man-heavy teams the past few weeks. And I think you're starting to see teams play man more against Cincinnati, man coverage, as the year has gone on, because that's just not – it's not Sorsby's, stronger point in terms of zone versus man, but it's also – in terms of receivers getting open. They've had a couple guys banged up. Caleb Goody, who's their second leading receiver, was hurt last week. They're hoping to get him back this week. Evan Pryor, their leading rusher, has been out the past couple games. He's kind of a home run hitter, and they could use him in the pass game. They're hoping he can play this week too. So you are potentially getting some pieces back, but I do think you're seeing defenses, watching the film and saying like, man, this guy is really picking us apart or picking teams apart against zone coverage. So he's going to see a lot more man coverage as the year goes on. That's something he has to improve on. That's something the receiving unit, has to kind of get better and create that separation. And so, I'm kind of curious to see. Cincinnati's well aware of that. They even talked about it this week in press conference. It's like, hey, we're getting man coverage. We haven't done as well against that. We need to figure out a way to change that. And so I'm kind of curious to see how that works and maybe what Jay Hill over at BYU kind of draws up to try and neutralize all of that. So Sorsby definitely, he was kind of getting some dark horse Heisman buzz there for a stretch in the middle of the season. That's totally fallen off. He's a really talented player, but they need him to kind of get back to that early midseason form if they want to have a chance to win this game.
Is there any concern that, last year didn't end the way it wanted, but this year they've made improvements? So find perspective in that, and we know we lost a couple of close games, but overall we've had a really good season. So where I'm going with that is that not dig in and win at all costs type of thing, but look at it from a broader, bigger picture, which may lead to some, I don't know what you would call it, but just not the fire to win this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's definitely been an improvement on last season. I think everyone coming in was like, they got to get to a bowl game in Cincinnati. There was even some kind of early, like, Scott Satterfield hot seat talk. I don't think that's going to be the case, that they're going to a bowl game. They've obviously made strides. But the problem last year, they started 5-2, lost their last 5 games, right, missed out on a bowl. Now you run the risk of, you lose this game, that's 3 in a row. Could you finish the year on a 4-game losing streak? Even if you're going to a bowl game, like, any of that momentum that you had built up, any of that goodwill you had built up just a couple of weeks ago when you're ranked and kind of in the Big 12 conversation, you lose a lot of that, even if it's an improvement on the season before. So I think, this game would go a long way, even if they don't make it to the Big 12 title game. If you can get this win against, at home, a night game experience, big noon kickoffs coming to town, all that kind of stuff. If you can do that against BYU, then you really can look at this season, no matter how it ends, and kind of feel like, man, this team made some strides. It's definitely moving in the right direction. If that doesn't happen, because I think honestly that's going to be a really tough task to beat BYU for Cincinnati on Saturday, then you better get that, and the last game of the season at TCU next week. That's when you can't really afford to drop, because then, like I said, all that goodwill and momentum you built up, it's going to feel like it totally went away.
We're joined by Justin Williams. He's a senior college football writer for The Athletic. The updated college football playoff rankings are out, and somebody once said, I think it's a pretty cool saying I've held on to, truth is a big ball, and you can never see the whole thing from any one place at any one time. So we know what people are complaining about the college football rankings here. I can guess what they're complaining about in Miami. Sitting in Cincinnati, when people see the ratings come out, the rankings come out, maybe they think, oh, these are perfect. This is very well done. The committee's very bright. But that doesn't seem to be anybody's reaction. It's biased. They're ignoring something. What's the committee missing from the perspective of people sitting in Big 12 and Big 10 country?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of fans of the committee in South Bend, Indiana, but beyond that, I don't know how many people are like really singing their praises. It's a thankless job, sure, but yeah, I think from a Big 12 perspective, like this feels like the second year in a row, right, that maybe BYU is just not getting the credit it deserves. And I get it. The resume is what it is. You can look at the metrics and strength of schedule and strength of record and all that kind of stuff. But like BYU has one loss this season to a top 5 team. And, I can totally understand why that's frustrating. And I think from a Big 12 perspective, you have a lot of people saying like, if this team gets to the Big 12 title game, even if they were to lose to Texas Tech again, like that, to then shut them out for a SEC team that has 2 losses or even 3 losses, or a Big 10 team, that kind of doesn't necessarily seem fair. So that was, I think one of the main takeaways, whether you're watching it in Provo or whether you're watching it across the country, is you're always going to get the accusations of SEC bias or even Big 10 bias. But to me, it's just like, man, this BYU team 2 years in a row, I'm sure is kind of sitting there thinking, what more do we have to do to appease this committee? So
Big Noon's going to be there, right?
Yeah, Big Noon will be there, and then they'll take an 8-hour break or so before the 8 p.m. local time kickoff.
Ooh, that could be dangerous if Urban Meyer's got 8 hours to kill in Cincinnati.
He'll visit his old stomping grounds. He's a Cincinnati grad.
So
he'll find plenty.
He is. Who gets to claim Urban Meyer more, Ohio State or University of Cincinnati?
That's a loaded question, especially here the past few seasons. I think Cincinnati acknowledges that he was a grad, but I think probably Columbus is that's the place that got the national championship. So
there you go. Well, Justin, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, talking a little football with us, and enjoy the game.
That should be a great game. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we get to talk down the road.
All right, thank you, Justin. Justin Williams, senior college football writer for The Athletic, joining us here on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. We gave away the Jazz tickets. That's all over. Sending somebody to the game, Yak? Excellent.
We were sending Jason to the game.
All right, all done there. That's taken care of. We've got more in a moment. More football on the way. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.